Hi YouTube! I hope that everybody had a good holiday / New Year's. It is now 2026. I know that I'm dating this this video, but I am wanting to go over to the office and print out some new art prints with you guys. I actually did get my January birth flower prints all ready and set up for printing out. I didn't get them done before the holiday or before the start of January, just because it was the holidays and I was going out to see family, and yeah, I was out of town. I was gone. So I didn't really work on anything for the shop during that time. I actually put my shop on vacation mode. But now that I am back, I went ahead and did my January art prints, and I have started on the February ones so that I can get those done before February, like I was hoping to do for for all of our birth month flowers, where I have them already available on the shop ahead of the month that they're for. It hasn't always worked out that way, but that is always my hope. So I have already started working on the February ones, and I guess let's just go ahead and jump on over to the office. That's that's enough rambling from me. I'm excited to show you guys what the birth flowers for January are, and how they turned out, and see how many iterations we end up having to print out before we get them the way that I want them to look. So let us go ahead and head on over to the office. Alright guys, I just made it over to the office and I have already set up all of my stuff. I got my printer set up and I have my laptop set up so that I can go ahead and start printing everything. I had to move my printer back a little bit into place because my dad actually, while I was gone for the holidays, went ahead and set up like a home network kind of deal, and he had to run one of the, I don't know what it is, but he had to run one of the things for the network in my room, so that ended up meaning he needed to move my printer a little bit, and he tried to put it back in the right spot, but it was a little bit off. So what is that? Sorry, I was getting distracted by myself. But he tried to put it back in the right spot, but it was just a little bit off, so I went ahead and did that off camera. But now everything's good and ready to set up for printing out our January birth flower prints, which actually is my birth month. So I didn't try harder than the other ones on it, but I am happy with how these ones came out. I'm always happy with how they end up coming out, but these ones I did kind of waffle a little bit on the color and if I was doing the right version of things, and seeing if I personally liked it maybe a little more than the others, just because it was my my birth month, but I wasn't giving it special treatment, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like I wanted it to come out good, and they did come out good. But that's something that I want for all of them. But this one, I maybe took a little bit longer, which is funny because I actually think that these ones I ended up doing fairly quickly comparatively to the others, but it felt like I was taking my time on them. But anyway, without delaying any further, I will turn you guys around and show you January's 2 birth flowers. I knew of one of them, but I didn't know of the other one, the alternate one. So that was kind of cool to learn as well. And I will go ahead, flip you guys around, and show you what flowers it is that I've been talking about. So these are the January birth month flowers. I knew of the carnation on the right. I knew that that was the birth flower for January, but I did not know that the alternate birth flower for January is this one over here, which is the snowdrop flower. And so, like with the other ones, I also looked up the month color palette, and the color palette for January is kind of funny, very patriotic for the US, red, white, and blue. And then there also, whenever I was looking further, was a mustard or an ochre color, which I didn't end up using. That one, I messed around with it potentially being the background for one of them, but it just didn't work out. I didn't really like how it looked. So both of them ended up having blue backgrounds, which I do think looks quite nice, especially over here on the snowdrop. I went for a more icy pale blue, and I need to stop those pop-ups from happening. Yeah, I went for a even lighter blue over here for the snowdrop so that it really kind of leaned into the snow, white, kind of icicle color. And then the carnation, I went with a red carnation because the specific red for January is more maroon, and its specific birth month flower is a carnation, but more specifically the red carnation. And if you if you break it down even further than that, it is the what's called Mary's flower, which pertains to the biblical story of whenever Mary holds Jesus's body after he had been crucified, and she is shedding tears, that where her tears fell to the earth, it sprouted Mary's flower, which actually is the dark, deep maroon carnation. So I went with the red, kind of maroon carnation to do for January. That is my thought process on that one, and I wanted it to have a slightly different color background than the snowdrop, which was a little bit difficult because not only is the carnation so rich in the red, but also like I said, I messed around with doing the ochre or mustard kind of color on the background, and it didn't look the way that I wanted it to. And the other color for January is white, which you can't really effectively do a white background for these ovals, right? So I ended up having to kind of mess around with which hue and which shade of light blue I was gonna do, because the blue for January is light blue, not a darker blue, and this one I had already decided was going to be the icy one. So I kind of, in Photoshop, skewed it around a little bit, and I ended up on this blue, which is a little bit darker than this one over here. It's a little bit more shifted towards the purple blue, whereas this one's a little more shifted towards the green blue. They're still very similar. Obviously, this one's not a purpley blue, and this one's not a very, very green blue, but they are shifted in opposite directions from each other. And I know I talked a lot about this one over here, our carnation. I'm going to talk just a little bit about our snowdrop over here. Snowdrops are very pretty. I didn't know that it was the January alternate flower. They, as you can see on the one that I chose to do, have a kind of yellow-green little dot on the ends of their petals, but not all of them do. There's different versions of it as well. Some are just pure white, and then some actually only have it on these smaller petals that are in the center. And I decided when I was looking at them that I wanted to do the one that had it on all of the petals, because I do know that one of our upcoming months does have Lily of the Valley as its birth flower. And Lily of the Valley is very similar to snowdrops. It is a delicate white flower that also kind of blooms in a similar pattern to the snowdrop, where, as you see here, it's kind of clustered. This one that I did is kind of clustered in a three stem, whereas the Lily of the Valley, it kind of curves and has little buds going off, hanging off of it, kind of like bells. But the shape is very similar. And those ones are pure white. So for my snowdrops, I wanted to differentiate them from the Lily of the Valley that will be coming up soon. I'm not going to say which month it is because I cannot remember, and also it's still a little bit further out than soon, like not in the next 2 months, but that's why I decided to do the version of Snowdrop with the little green, yellowy green dots on the ends of all of them. It also kind of helps focus your eye more on the flower, and it just gives it a little more visual interest. So that was my thought process on the snowdrop. I am very happy with how they came out, and I am hoping that we don't have to do too many printout versions of these guys. But I guess we won't know until I start printing them out and we start seeing how it translates over to the print. I'm a little bit worried about the carnation because the red is so saturated already on the computer that it's going to print, I don't know exactly how it will print, but I'm worried it's going to print out a little bit wrong because it seems like my printer oversaturates reds already. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that works. Because I am worried about that one, I actually think I'm going to start with the snowdrop. So let me go ahead and print out our first snowdrop, and I'll come back to you guys whenever it is printed out. Okay, I just pulled our snowdrop off of the printer tray, and I actually think that it is done. I actually think that it might be good, but I haven't hung it up yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and hang it up on our board. I do have a note up on the board that I need to print out some more freebies and thank you notes or thank you stickers, but we're going to ignore that and hang it up right here like this so that we can look at how it looks hung up on a wall. And yeah, I think that this is it. So let me flip you guys around and show you what I am looking at. Here it is, our snowdrop all hung up on our whiteboard. But I think that the colors are pretty much exactly how I want them to be. Yeah, I think that the stems are all good. I don't really think that I need to push anything else any further with it. I'm quite happy with how everything looks. I mean, the only thing that I could think maybe is making the little dots around the edge a little bit darker maybe, so that the color is not so close to the our ring right there in shade. But other than that, which I think is kind of a small critique, I think everything else looks good. It does, as usual, print out a little bit darker than it does from my laptop, which I know now that it does that. So I adjusted accordingly. And so I think that in my head, this is what it looked like every time that I looked at it on my computer. So I do know that the background was a little bit lighter than this, which is something that I definitely could do. I wouldn't want it to be any darker, but I do think that this is pretty good. I think that this might be our snowdrop done. First time's the charm. So now we have to actually look at the carnation next, and that one I think is going to need to have some adjusting done with it after we get it printed out, because I just have a feeling that the red is not going to print out exactly how I want it to, and there might be some other small things that end up printing out different than what I'm thinking they will. But I guess let me go ahead and print out our first carnation and see what we need to do to it once we have it hung up and we're looking at it. But that, I think, is our snowdrop. So I'll just go ahead and put it down right here as our final one, and I will move on to our carnation. Okay, as you can see, I have already printed out the carnation and I have it hung up already. And definitely there are things that need to be adjusted on it. So I guess the very first one that you might be able to tell is the carnation. The red came out a little too dark. It is supposed to be the red kind of maroon carnation, but I don't like how it looks printed like this, so I definitely need to brighten that up. And then some other things that I'm noticing on it. The blue did print out darker, which is expected, but it printed out a little bit darker than I anticipated it would, because it is supposed to be a light blue still, and this is getting away from light blue, I feel like, so that needs to be adjusted. The line that we have, the darker line that goes around the oval, I feel like is not dark enough on it, and because of that, also the dots around the oval are not dark enough either. So I need to adjust all of that. The stem actually, I think, came out perfect. So that's at least a good thing. I don't need to adjust that. I do like the gradient in the background. I think the gradient is kind of the right amount. I just need to kind of brighten things and darken things. So lighten up the red, lighten up the main color of the background, and then darken the outline and dots of the background. So I will make those adjustments, and then we will print out our second version and see how that looks. I'm not mad at this first attempt though. It's just not quite how I want it to be yet. So let me go make those adjustments and I will print out the second version of our carnation. Alright, the carnation just finished printing out, so let me go ahead and get it off of the printer and let's hang it up next to our first one. So let me move it over and get this one hung up next to it so that we can see how they look. Okay, let me step back and flip you guys around. Here is our second attempt at the carnation. The background didn't brighten up all that much. I do think it did a little bit, but not a lot. So I need to push that more than I anticipated needing to, but the carnation flower itself I think looks good. I might go in and add some extra shine to it because I feel like that kind of got lost a little bit in the petals. I think that the outline and the dots in the background actually look better. So I guess let me add back in some shiny kind of highlight to the petals of the carnation and try to push the background a little bit more because it still is dark. I feel like it definitely lightened slightly, but I thought it would have lightened more than it did. So I need to do that more than I thought I needed to. But let me go and do that, and then we will come back with our third attempt, and hopefully it will be third time's the charm. Again, I like the stem. Don't have to do anything with that. And I do like now how the red looks for the flower. So we are getting closer. I think I just need to do those 2 other adjustments and we should be good. So let me go do those and I will come back to you guys with our third carnation. Alright guys, our third carnation printed out. I took down our other 2 and hung up the third one to take a look at it, and I do think that this is our final one of our carnation. I do think that those adjustments that I did definitely pushed it to where I wanted it to be. I could still probably lighten the background a little bit more, but I don't want to lighten it too much where then it looks off in comparison with the bright, the vibrancy of the red of the petals. I'll flip you guys around so that you can see what it is I'm talking about, but I do think that this is probably it. I definitely wouldn't want the background to be any darker than it is now. I did push it a good bit more than the second one even, and it still is, it's still a little hard to see a huge difference between the 2, I feel like, but I do think that the difference is enough that it actually does make it to where it is a light enough blue that I would consider it a light blue, but it's not too light where it looks off with the red. But I will flip you around so that you can actually see what it is that I've been telling you, and I hope that you guys agree with me, but I do think that this will be our final carnation. Here it is, and I have it hung up just by itself, but I guess I'll show you kind of what it looks like next to the second one. It's even harder, I think, to see on the camera. The difference in the background colors. I don't know, you guys might be able to see the difference. But they definitely still are pretty similar. but I think that it's enough that I'm happy with it. And also I think that the highlights that I added to the flower petals also helps it feel lighter. It definitely, the highlights are not as noticeable as they are on my computer, but I think that they do still add enough enough brightness to the petal, enough highlight to the petals that they don't feel quite as flat as they have been feeling to me. So I'm happy with that. And I actually think that I wouldn't make the highlights any more than they are right now, because it is supposed to be a dark, a kind of rich red carnation, so I wouldn't want the highlights to brighten the petals up so much that you kind of lose how deep red that it's supposed to be. So I think that this is probably our final carnation. And our snowdrop, we got correct on the very first go. So actually, let me move this one over and we can hang up our snowdrop next to it and see our, oops, I'm dropping it, and see our January birth flowers together, our final ones together. All right, here we go. Hanging them up next to each other, I do wonder if I should go ahead and make the background of the snowdrops a smidge lighter so that you can better differentiate between the backgrounds. I mean, you can tell that they're different, but I'm wondering if I should push it a little bit more, because on the computer, the background for the snowdrop is very pale. And printed out, I like that color, but I'm wondering if I should make it a little paler and it would look a little icier. I wouldn't do anything to the flowers, I don't think. I think that the flowers and the stems are the color that I want everything to be. So I wouldn't brighten up the whole piece. I think I might just brighten up the background just a tad bit. But I don't know if it's enough of a change that I'm wanting to like print out another one for it or not. I might print one out just because, and then we'll see how that is. I definitely, looking at them next to each other though, I am happy with the carnation. I do think that that's definitely, that is it. That's our carnation. And I think that blue is a light enough blue that I'm happy with it. And I am happy with the blue of the snowdrop. I just don't want them to feel too similar that you get confused. Like you're like, oh, they have the same background, which I don't think people would be, but I just want to make sure that they are very distinctly their own. So I might actually go ahead, I'll print out a test one just to see, and if I like it, then okay, and if I don't like it, then then okay. And this one's it. So let me go brighten up the background just a tad bit more, and I will be back. This will be a very quick thing for me, and even quicker for you because it will be 1 second. Okay, our snowdrop just finished printing out. Let's go and put it up here. Yeah, that's a good, I think that's a good one. Let me put it next to our, oh, it's sliding. Let me try to put it next to our carnation up here so that we can take a look. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, okay. So our snowdrop, we ended up having to do one adjustment to it, but I do think that helped. I'm happy with how they look together and how they look separately. So I think that this is our final January birth flowers, our snowdrop and our carnation. I think that this is the final looks of them. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I actually think that did help a lot. It was a minor adjustment, but I think that it made all the difference. So I am happy that I did go ahead and just do it and you know, test it out, see how it looks, and I'm happy with that. So that is our January one, and I will head on over to the outro and tell you, I guess, what to look forward to in the next couple of videos, because I'm not sure exactly which order it will happen in, but I do know that it will be in the next ones, but I'm going to tell you. So let me head on over to the outro and I will discuss that with you guys. Alright guys, back in my recording corner. As I said, this is going to be the outro. I am planning on doing in the next couple of videos, which I actually think the next one will probably end up being the February birth flower prints. There actually is 3 birth flowers for February, so if you've been liking the flower content, then that's something to look forward to. But I also, in I guess the video after that, am planning on doing some new reptile species. I have them already decided. I know which ones I'm going to try to do, but I haven't designed them yet. And I've been wondering about maybe trying to do a live for at least one of them, see how that goes. I do want to start doing the lives because I feel like that will be something that would be kind of enjoyable to do with you guys, where it's a little more in person or real time, not in person, but real time kind of talking. And I also could better show my process of how I kind of do things and talk through it a little bit better than doing it in a video. I have my stuff set up on my computer, like my OBS for recording, and my microphone set up for recording, but I just haven't figured out how exactly I would want to try to go about recording my kind of drawing process for my stickers. So maybe doing lives would be kind of better. And I do like watching live streams and kind of doing the like hangout live stream while someone's busy working on, you know, either their work or their art or just playing a game, and it's just a chill stream. So maybe I'll start trying to do that on my YouTube channel. But in any case, whether I do that or not, the next 2 videos will be probably the February flowers first, and then the new reptiles next. I do still need to finish out the I believe the morphs that I was doing in relation to the Blue-Eyed Lucy morphs. So that would probably be after those, unless designing the new reptile stickers takes longer than I am wanting to wait for a video to come out, and then that one would be before. But I don't think that will be the case. So that's kind of what I've been thinking. But I guess that's all for future me to decide and for future you to see. So I will see you guys in the next video. If you liked this one, please feel free to leave a like, leave your comments down below. All of the links to my shop and other social medias will be in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to continue on this Etsy shop owning experience with me and seeing my content. If you want to be notified whenever I do post my next video, just click the little bell icon to get notified whenever those go up. And I do have a shop Gmail listed in my description as well. Those are all of the key point YouTube things I'm supposed to say, I'm pretty sure. So I will see you guys in our next video. Bye, YouTube!